This is iRacing.
Well, it's been the same old story, rinse and repeat for 4 straight rounds here of the Grand Prix Legends. It's 4 wins for Aldris Valenteus, it's 4 seconds for Topi Courtignomi. But can the script be changed, or are we playing from the same tune when we head to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, when we know that this is a draft circuit beyond all draft circuits and one of the more popular tracks in the world of iRacing out there for drivers to run? Welcome to Road America, and for this 5th round of Grand Prix Legends action here on your Saturday afternoon. Good morning, good afternoon, and evening to wherever you may be watching. My name's Shakespeare. Along with me for today's action is Craig King, as Daniel Costello sits in the director's chair using the cameras provided by Dougie Beard. But what to be said around a very known quantity in Road America, a circuit without a dedicated tight hairpin, but it brings all of the prowess needed to say this is America's national park of speed. To get an understanding, here's a little GSRC track guide to help you out.
Welcome to Road America. Nicknamed America's National Park of Speed, it's easy to see why just by looking at how the track is laid out. Long straights are a major feature, and drivers will build up incredible momentum before they find themselves interrupted by tight 90-degree corners. In fact, for a 4-mile circuit, it has shockingly few turns. It also has little in the way of variation in layouts. The main course is only broken up once with a single chicane added in the bend version. But don't take this to mean that it's a boring track. Elevation change happens many times over a lap, with a few places taking you into corners which are quite blind. But 2 of the turns on the back half of the course are perhaps the most distinctive. One is the carousel with its more than 180-degree radius. It just feels like it never stops. The other is the kink. Terrifyingly fast with very little runoff, it can end someone's race in a flash. As you'd expect, the heavy braking zones make for some ideal overtaking spots. Turn 5 sees plenty with its downhill entry. The hurried downs can offer drivers a chance at a sneak attack if you're brave, and then Canada Corner gives you one last shot before the lap is over. It's no wonder major organizations such as IMSA, IndyCar, NASCAR, and the SCCA all host major races here. All in all, many drivers rate this track as the best track in North America. Many who hop in the seat and try it can quickly understand why.
This circuit is one that has seen a lot of amazing racing from it, but it's one that stands the test of 3 great places to pass, and one of them being that if you're left with a group of 2 late on, how late do you hold back to go and make the move over at the likes of, say, Canada Corner?
And this is the track full of moments as well in iRacing. Who can forget Toga Hisada in the Lotus 79s around here as well, trying to make some moves. And the key thing is, despite the fact that it's an older track, it's a wider track. So you do have a lot more opportunities to go side by side, especially in these machinery. So you want to get that overtake done into turn 5 as you go down the hill at the Moraine sweep. But you got to be careful because you can then get held up there going into 6 under the bridge. And then you get the famous downhill at the carousel, which choose your opportunity. When do you get on the throttle? When do you get off the throttle as well? As you've got to get a nice run to the infamous kink where many an iRacing driver have had their races end due to that high-speed section, all the way down to the hard braking at Canada Corner. Probably the last place you can make a move. If you're going to make a move into turn 14, Jake, you got to be really brave because that's a run up the hill. And usually up a hill, it's slower when you're in the lead.
It very much is, and so keep an eye out on that heartbreak hill up to go forward. Now, we talk championship standings because it is a perfect 4 from 4 so far for Aldrius Valenteus, and Topi Courtiniemi, despite only being 20 points back, probably needs to find 4 wins of his own on the bounce to give Aldrius something to think about. Kevin Verbruggen currently in 3rd ahead of Gary Ho and Seb Tixier, with Togo Hesada down in 6th position. Nicola Cocchi only 7th, with Jorge Nieva 8th, Leo Sequeiro 9th, and Pedro Temaladri in 10th. It shows you that the level has raised up from last season over to this one, with how faultless you need to be. Craig, F2 though, there is still option for attack.
Yeah, we're not even halfway, so the attack is still there. Andreas Hecht leading the way from Tobias Harney, who's a mainstay of the series for years now. Victor Alonso Diaz will be in 2nd. Andreas Bruno right behind. Bo Poulter will be in 5th, with Doug Cloud, the ever-dependable Doug Cloud, in 6th. Yankee will be in 7th, with Alan Graham in 8th. Brad White with 9th, just ahead of Campbell Wells. This is for drivers, remember, under 3K iRating. So just because you're not the best of the best, you can still earn your way up by winning this series.
Yeah, and we're in a split today, so that is going to mean that we're not going to be seeing too much of the F2 standings in terms of their running. Now, Cup of Nations practically is following how they sit in the championship, with Ukraine and Finland 1 and 2. The Netherlands up then in 3rd, with Spain 4th. Hong Kong find themselves in 5th, ahead of France by 12 points, with the United States just 5 points back of that. Japan then in 8th position, ahead of Italy in 9th, and Germany 100 points off the pace of the Ukraine, then making up your top 10. But Craig, if you're here for the first time, what do these drivers have to deal with?
Well, it's round 5 for 12. 16 laps out there today in these cars around Road America. Open setups. So use the iRacing setups. Use a set you've made yourself, or use one the fantastic community has provided. But if you crash, your day is done. There is no spare car out there today. There's a drive-through at 17 incident points, a disqualification once you've done that drive-through at 25. Don't think we'll be seeing that today, Jake, because there's a lot of grass, not a lot of opportunities to cut the corners and get those off tracks.
And qualifying is going to be really fast here today because of the fact that they sit with just 8 minutes to get 2 laps of qualifying sorted together. So you might see drivers out there getting aggressive early on to find these laps. It's a 2-minute 10 lap time, so they've only got 2 minutes of leeway to play with. Nicola Cocchi, 6,000ths clear at the top of the moment, ahead of Topi Courtiniemi. Drivers like Hervé Trengerade, a driver who has been and seen it all and has done everything in classics. He's in 6th place, but there are going to be looks at that second lap and how critical the second lap is as trying to get his first lap in on the board. The all-conquering Aldrius Valenteus out there at this point in time, and very happy with these dry conditions and a 27-degree track temperature. To put this one quite nicely, ideal dog walking temperatures for racing today.
Yeah, I'd still be in my shorts if this was postal weather. Valenteus going to come across the line straight away into 5th. We talk about Ove there. He's done everything. He's not done what Valenteus has done. He's won the Triple Crown twice, and he did win all 3 last week, but one was a special event. It's not a Triple Crown. Has to be the 3 main races. So Valenteus' second lap is going to be crucial. Topi Courtiniemi, definitely crucial. He comes through with the king. The Glacier Racing is alive and down the kettle bottoms. One last time for qualifying. Look how late or early, sorry, they have to brake. Look at the suspension bounce as well. Just as they needed to brake, Topi hit that little ridge there, Jake. I don't know if you saw that. That suspension, that new suspension, working a dream out there.
Yeah, you could see it oscillating up and down through the various needs to dab a little bit of brake here and there. Lovely amount of slide through the final corner and over now up towards the line. We'll see whether he can find 6,000ths of a second to say, I am good enough. A 2:08.1 is the time to beat. A 2:07 would go a long way and does improve up to a 2:08 there, and it's enough by just 1,000th. It's 2,000ths on my iRacing timing screen to say it's different. Verbruggen currently third, Hysada to fourth, Tixier to fifth. You've got Gary Ho in seventh place, but you still got Aldrius to think about here with a minute to go in qualifying. This is all down to the line. Tixier moves up now into fourth position. Leo Sequeiro jumps up with a 2:08.6 into the top five. This is lay your chips down on the table because qualifying has proven to be close. There's some cloud cover coming over the circuit, so this Bill Mitchell bend could be critical for Valenteus, who's all over the curve on the inside, paints beautifully between the lines, and now needs this final corner into out. It looks slow, but slow is fast as he looks to try and get up the hill. How much of an improvement will he get? Remember, he's 6/10 down here in qualifying. Crosses the line, 2:08 flat, he'll steal it at the 11th hour. Any doubt there? A 10th clear of the rest of the field? Perfect from the gold standard to say he can go above everybody else. Qualifying in the books, and Aldrius Valenteus on pole with a 2:08.068. Topi Courtaniemi, who has been second at all 4 rounds this season, is alongside him for company. Nicola Cocchi will line up on row 2 as Kevin Verbruggen will be there alongside him, as 5th will be Sebastian Tixier and 6th Leo Sequeiro. It's then Toga Hysada in 7th with Gary Ho in 8th. John Olsen and the Porsche All-Star Xavier Sanchez makes up 10.
To the second page, Ove Trengerade will be in 11th, and Pedro Talamdri will be in 12th. Then it's Glenn Becker in the unlucky 13th, and alongside him, Laus Olsen in 14th. Aku Liski will take 15th with Marco Antonio Lopez in 16th. Josephine Becker with 17th, and a return to Ozzy Bahaka, our favourite driver, in 18th. Ryan Turncoat will be in 19th. Bill Tyler rounds out the top 20.
Robert Plumley, the World of Kinducci there in 21st, and Cam Porter in 22nd with Matthew Maudsley and Wade Sheedy on row 12. You then got Steve Goshen in 25th with Benjamin Shoko way down in 26th position. Thomas Tuba was the last to set the time, meaning Carl Ridley's I-rating is higher than the Spaniard Fidel Ruiz, and so with that makes your 29 here today, looking to stack up a split field, as we noted a little bit earlier on in the broadcast, which means that only the top drivers get themselves to race together because there were too many to go out and race here at Road America. They hold themselves steady and wait for their racing action to take its hold. It is a fast run towards turn number 1 here at Road America. And then, of course, the run out of 3 and over to the Moraine sweep at 5 is going to be a huge difference maker. It is a shallow main straight, so sometimes we do see a lot of incidents take place even before they reach turn number 1. But if they are calm, if they are poised, they have this chance. Here with 16 laps to get themselves set. Green flag drops in the air and we're underway, and Valenteus doesn't get the most amazing start in the world, and neither does Nicola Cocchi as well, because he'll be overtaken by Kevin Verbruggen on the run towards turn number 1. There goes the likes of Seb Tixier through as well. Courtaniemi on the outside, can't get the commitment of grip early doors, and thank you very much on this 28-degree track temperature. Valenteus holds the line.
Holds the line, and now he's going to be a little bit careful because you see that wind as well. It's northwest. It's almost a crosswind today, and that's going to be playing havoc down the straight. Glenn Becker's not had the best of start into the gravel already at turn 1, and drivers trying to make up some moves. Carl Ridley already up 3, as now we get the drivers starting to fan. Topi's going to try and do this around the outside of 5. A little bit of sliding, and then he locks up on those cold tires. Don't think the grip's there for you at the moment, Topi. And then the last thing you want to do is have everybody getting queued back here. And, well, there goes Nicola Cocchi trying to make a move into 6th. You don't want to be held up here. You want to be together. You don't want that elastic band breaking in lap 1.
It was aggressive, sliding about, does confirm the pass on Kevin Verbruggen, but critically, look at the gap they've left, 9/10 of a second, so they're going to need them to start playing games up the front if they want to chase. With Tixier 5th, Hysada 6th, Sequeiro, then Gary Ho, the line going all the way back to Laus Olsen on the back of the train in 13th place. Marco Antonio Lopez, a break up at the moment with Ozzy Puhaka trying to chase. Look at the tail kick out then from the likes of Nicola Cocchi. He knows he's got to hurry up and chase, but this is not the hurry downs. This is now the kettle bottoms and the big run to Canada corner.
The last thing you want to be is at the bottom of that timing tower and also at the bottom of a 1 second barrier. And that's what Nicola's trying to not do there. Is he goes a little bit too aggressive as we're on Toga Histada's cockpit here. And you can just see how the driver's pushing a bit too hard from Canada corner, probably to defend, but also trying to keep up the speed to catch up to the leaders. And Nicola has lost that. And already you can see on that timing tower, 1.1, that's the interval between drivers, not to the leader. The slipstream is now slowly fading. They're going to need a little bit of help here. Otherwise, Valenteas and Courtenay, well, they're going to be fighting out for 1 and 2 once again.
Well, that help is going to have to come in the form of when do you want to be aggressive and when do you want to be overtaking. This is a field where you have to think your way around certain battles out there, especially at a circuit like Road America. You can see the slew of 49s diving down the hill towards turn number 3. Tough little braking zone here. Everyone takes it for granted. 110 kilometers an hour before getting back on the power again and making that launch for the Moraine sweep. And Topi Courtenay is not going to sit back idly and wait. He is going to force Aldrius Valenteas to defend into every single line. He's shallow off the exit is Aldrius, so he covers off the mark as he goes, and Tixier, noting this here, finds himself in a little bit of an I can't overtake sandwich. Knows if he sticks the nose out in front to get by Verbruggen, he could leave himself vulnerable to Hysada if he doesn't get back in line, if it doesn't work.
I think that's the key. They're also looking to try and make sure this momentum keeps on rolling for the driver, because that little moment with Courtenay there with Valenteas, because he took that shallow line, he was slower through turn 5, and that did not allow Courtenay to do anything. Here's Gary Ho as we're getting on board with the classic Lotus style wheel, and you're going to see him go down and do some shifting right there. Got the wheel, he's got the air, he's got the suspension, he's got the momentum. And this is what he wants. And just see how that's going to kick for a moment. Look how he's had to almost brace his arm there a bit, Jake, as he was turning for the key. Really feeling those forces with that motion ring there, and it's able to just allow him to just get a feel.
You could see how much the steering wheel was just juddering as he was going down the brakes, and how much he has to work to get the car to move about. It's not the quickest way to drive a car, but it is the most realistic here in iRacing for the Taco Bell machine to go and get itself moving. Anybody got a gong out there at this moment in time to say he can go and collect his order? But Courtenay here, all of that battling on that lap, Nicola Cocchi has dropped Kevin Verbruggen and said, no, wait for me, I want in. Now to turn 1. Courtenay on the inside, Cocchi with the fastest lap of the race, and Valenteas on the outside, still trying to stick his nose around and say, I am in your business, and now looking to try and get the run at turn 3. Again, early on the brakes, just waiting for the rotation. They interlock wheels through the middle of the corner, and Kevin Verbruggen in trouble as he drops back down to 14th position, running wide, missing a break point at 1.
And that's going to be big as well for the drivers trying to catch up. Now Steb Tixier is going to have to see if he can catch these guys. Well, if Valenteas and Courtenay side by side here, that may help the rest of the drivers, and it does. And Valenteas with the inside better this time. Topi can't get that run around the outside of 5, and it is tough. You've got the space to run with, but then he's got a good run here out of 6, but 7. It's a little kink. You don't hear it called a kink, but it's a kink down to the hurry down, and he's still attacking. Not a place you usually look to attack into turn 8. You want to try and get the over-under, and that's what he's done. Absolutely beautiful over-under there, but Valenteas still holds on to this, and look at Nicola Cocchi trying to find his opportunity. This has brought everybody back all of a sudden.
Well, what's the point of an over-under if you can't ever get the under to work? So for Topi Courtenay, he realises that it's going to be another push bet, and he will know that he'll have to do it again. But he had to back out for the carousel because of the fact that Nicola Cocchi was swirling about in range. And you're talking about this group that goes now back to Hervé Trengarade. They're all in a range here with Togo Hysada. Wide goes Tixier back there through into Canada corner, and this is what happens to Kevin Verbruggen. You can see down on the brakes, just getting the back squarely and stepping out, and so having to do a lot of wheel work then to keep that one out of trouble, and having to just drive through the gravel all the way to have any form there, Craig, of a safe rejoin.
And that's the problem with this track. It's an older track. You don't have that little run up there or FIA approved rules of where you have to rejoin the track if you go off at a chicane or something. So you have to just get the tires dirty, try not to bring a lot of that gravel onto the track. Well, it's on the outside there. You shouldn't have too much of an issue. And then make sure you do it safe. So he's lucky, but unfortunately he's not in this battle now. And if he was able to just keep up there, I think he would have been in this battle. But now I'm just wondering, Courtenay's getting harassed more by Nicola Cocchi compared to Courtenay attacking Valenteas. This is going to be interesting because if I'm here, if I'm this number 4 car right now, I'm not attacking Jake. I'm saying let's work together here and push ahead, because you can see as they almost come together again that they're just trying to fight on. The over-under's not working here as we go to another replay. This is Bill Tyler, and that's a little bit of a nudge, and another nudge, and he's off. Not what you want to see in the tough turn 6.
Right into the gearbox there, and the differential, that was definitely not what Bill wanted. You saw there more dramas behind with another one of the Taco Bell machines off the road, so it was really a big shake-up back there in the group. So with Bill Tyler back there, I'm sure that he'll be looking around and saying, well, that's sometimes just the way it goes. I think it could have even been Kyle Ridley who was way off in the background, working through, though, this long, sweeping right-hander, and now hoping that there is going to be as much drive as possible then to get this sorted. This is Puhaka back here in 14th. It's Finland versus Denmark, but they also have Akuliski, so it's 2 Finns to the party.
Yep, and they're trying to beat a Dutchman. It's not Verstappen, it's Kevin Verbruggen as they're trying to just hold on to him. But Laus, very good experience. Aku right behind, going a bit too deep into Canada corner, but recovers it quick enough here due to the way that Pahaka couldn't attack Laus. And give credit here to Aussie. I mean, it is Aussie. We know the caliber of driver. Already up 4 places so far in the race, making a few good moves, a few safety plays here, but he needs to get going. Look at the overcorrection there. And that's not going to help him when he tried to catch up to Olsen. I wonder if Aku's going to look for a move here, because that was a big correction on the steering wheel.
Needed a lot to try and figure that through, and Aussie Puhaka manages it. Ryan Turcott here just behind. We'll see Josephine Becker behind her. Marco Antonio Lopez in front. That's a change in the My Neighbor Totoro machine. Not the only anime-inspired car today, because Javier Sanchez is running around in a Toyota Gazoo Racing My Dress Up Darling car with Marin Kitagawa on the front.
Could you repeat that one again to me, please? That's an interesting one for Javier. I know what he was using earlier in the week in the Skip Barbers, and going to be doing something completely different. Yeah, that's definitely a Toyota Gazoo, almost like a Super GT inspired livery there, as Laus Olsen having to defend around the outside now here with Aussie Pahaka right behind. I say that's Laus, it is, and Aussie's gonna. That's not Aussie, actually. That looks like that's Aku there. It is Aku, sorry. Aussie's already got through. Laus not having the best of time there. That says to me that Laus got pushed a bit too wide into turn 5 and opened the door there for Liski to make that move. Aussie's through. A second behind Kevin Bruggen now. He wants to get a go on.
Yep, he certainly does. And just to say, yes, it is the My Dress Up Darling machine that Javier Sanchez is running. It's a inspiration to the fact that there was a Marin Kitagawa GT3 that ran in the Super Endurance Series in Japan that was doing the rounds on the internet this week. So that was one that gave a lot of big fans a big smile out there as they worked through. But for the moment, Liski in that 14th place, happy to be jumping up the order and saying, look, this is what I can deal with. It's been a little bit calmer then over the last couple of laps right now as changes are about. John Olsen, though, runs wide at the corner then of Canada, and that will drop in behind Trengarade and Sanchez, who will gain their spots. But it is, I would just about argue, 7 up there, because Leo Sequeiro, 1.1 seconds. He's trying to hold on to the coattails, but again, Courtaniemi's going to get his run towards turn number 1, lap 6 of 16, but he's earlier on the brakes to Aldrius Valenteas, and if you're earlier, you're realizing, what do I have to do to send this car in deeper?
Yeah, Valenteas lost at the late breakers there around the outside, and they're still going to hold this side by side. You could do a technical slide job here. Not what you see in NASCAR in oval racing. It's just the fact that the car's going to be sliding a little bit. So Courtaniemi gets a better run here through turn 3, down into 4, now going into 5. The inside belongs to Valenteus, and now Topi's going to have to say, what can I do around the outside? Can I hold it? Can I be like Valenteus around the outside? And credit where credit's due, he's managed to hold this, but they're still side by side. And this really, as you come through 6, should be, and it is, yeah, a little bit of a slide there from Valenteus. Topi didn't really have much where to go. Unfortunately, that has gone off. So he got to the lead, Jake. That's important. He just can't hold on to it right now. That tricky 5-6-7 combo.
Yeah, through the hurry downs, then the left and the long carousel under the speed-filled bridge and over towards this next right. 5 in a line, and oh, Thomas Tuba in trouble. Then the Slovakian down at the left-hander. He has collided straight up the back of Fidel Ruiz. There was an incident in front as well between Wade Sheedy and Cam Porter. So those two coming up together and finding just snake eyes through that run. But again, how much of this do you feel, Craig, is posturing for the final couple of laps?
Well, let's look at Wade Sheedy right now, and I do think this is the game of chess. This isn't a game of chess. This is the game of just making some mistakes there. Probably locking the brakes too late, going in a bit too hard. I don't think there was a move ever on there. But the Australian, thankfully, not upside down. He's the right way up, but that was a bit too much there going into the braking. Now, this is interesting. 5 cars now in this group. Leo Sequeiro has lost it. Togo's just up the rear. Seb's trying to catch up as well. I wonder if this is just a little bit of gamesmanship now, because we know what could be possible, and we've seen what Valenteus has done on long straights before, Jake. If he knows he's going to be in trouble, he's going to ask Topi to fall for the bait. I would not be surprised at the final lap if we see Valenteus lifting as he comes down the moraine sweep.
Now, I go back to a time, well, Gary's off the road then in the 8, so he drops back 3 on the train as he just has a massive slide through turn 1 that we don't catch on camera. But I remember a time at the Nürburgring where Aldrius and Topi came together on the final lap. So there is going to be no love lost on long straights between these two drivers. They give absolutely everything out there. And Nicola right now sits in the popcorn position watching these two elite wheelers go at it and say, well, after you, I'll pick up table scraps.
Yeah, but who came second when Valenteus won the Triple Crown? It was Topi Kortenemi, and he had a chance to win that race at Adelaide in the Lotus 79. So let's give the credit where credit is due. Topi coming over to the 49s, the new 49s. Everybody's loving the 49s right now, and why not? How could you not? But he's gone a bit too wide. Just probably over on the throttle too early there through the carousel. But he able to hold it, because I just saw a wobble there from Valenteus. Hello, 1 second. Nowhere for him to go, is because in these cars, the kink, it's a little bit of a break. If this was high-speed, modern-day GT or prototype cars, or even a Lotus 79, I think we may have seen Topi look for a move here, but he's had to get on the defense once again as Valenteus. And this is interesting, because I feel Valenteus, as much as he's defending hard here, Jake, he's holding everybody up right now. This isn't the trolley train. I can't believe I'm saying this. This is the Valenteus train.
I reckon anybody who's in that position in the top 5 would be in the same place, though, as they will tick over towards lap 8. And you see there behind, Tixier sliding about, the gap to 0.6 of a second. I think he's only holding on by the elite amount of side-by-side. And Topi Korteniemi again, this time is going to make his play. But, oh, that's a mile later on the brakes. Andreas is straight on and in the gravel. And suddenly he will drop the top 5 as he now works about. That was a pressure moment, and it's not often that he cracks like ceramics.
I have never seen the pressure hit Valenteus like that. It has been a year since we've seen Valenteus fall like that, and that was good work from Topi. I think he deliberately broke early there because he knew Valenteus wanted to fight that, and now he's going to have to try and get back up the field to even get a good result. This is big-time implications here. Go to the replay right now. Here what you're going to see. I think early braking here from Kortenemi, late braking from Valenteus, and the moment the moment the tail falls out, that says to me, too much speed, can't get it under control. These cars didn't have a wing. It was the year after they had a wing, and that's why we love them, but Valenteus would love a bit of downforce right now.
He would love a bit of downforce, but he'd also know that he is about 3 seconds off the back of this group. So if he's going to get there, he needs some help from these drivers of the front four battling. Sequeiro would have to get into the mix as well to get there, but he's got Sanchez, Trengarade, Olsen and Ho all behind who could bring themselves into play and say, look, we can get closer in this battle. And when we've been talking about Courtenay in this championship, it's for first place 4 seconds. It takes a big moment like this to say that's the difference maker. Here's the thing though, anything outside of first place for Algiers right now is marked as a drop round.
Yeah, and I think that's the important thing is they have to now think about this. Valenteas will push as hard as he can. If he gets up to the podium, that's going to be a fantastic recovery at this stage of the race, and we're not even halfway, so, you know, anything can still happen. He's got to find 3 seconds and almost 4 seconds to get back to Tixier. Get to see what he can do in raw pace, but it's been tough to make overtakes out here today. Do wonder what Valenteas can do. Now Topi, now he can start to just open his legs a little bit here, open his arms out. I'm not saying it's a bad thing for Nico Koki, but now he's actually got the lead, and he's got this bit of space here. As we now look at Trengarade, who had a quiet race right now as he's battling Javier Sanchez. Both of them up 3 places today.
Yeah, so they've made good gains out there from 10th to 7th, from 11th to 8th. They have just played the game quite nicely and know that at the halfway stage, they are looking at trying to get a little bit more. Trengarade right now in the Looney Tunes machine. You got Javier Sanchez with the My Dress Up Darling car, and at the moment it's Who's Cartoon. It's a little bit better out there. Even keel on the brakes. Trengarade taking that big wide line, trying to get the mechanical grip rotation through the middle of the corner, but shockingly there, through turn 5, a lot of understeer to go and deal with, so not much to say about that. Becker on the outside to the inside. Great run by Benjamin Shoko, out of position in qualifying, but that puts him now up into what is 18th position out there, and a gain for Benjamin Shoko of ultimately +8.
Yeah, and almost could be +7 if Josephine gets away. You talk about the understeer if we watch this. Again, that's a wind, again, northeast 20 kilometers an hour. Now, north is basically pointing up down the bottom of the hill. So everything now is a little bit of a side wind, and they're going to get some side wind. So you talk about the understeer at turn 5 that we saw. We've seen drivers have some moments here. I just saw Zoko there having a little bit of a wobble. Yet that's because they're coming straight into that side wind. And I wonder, even though it doesn't sound a lot, with these cars, how small and how small they are, Jake, and how open they are, I think the wind's actually affecting some of these drivers through the lights of the exit the carousel, through the lights here coming down to the kettle bottoms. We don't talk a lot about wind effect, but when you've got no aero, what's the wind going to do? It's going to hit you. So this could be quite an interesting moment.
It can do, and it can be. And so for these drivers, they know that, yeah, it is a bit blustery. These cars are light, and so they can be moved across a little bit. Aldrius, with anger, gets fastest lap as Sanchez yields it at turn 1. Trengarade is in deep, though, and he's going to have to understeer off the exit. Thank you, says Sanchez. Picks that one straight on back with John Olsen now following in the South Turkmen Principe car.
Yeah, I wouldn't have cartoons on my car back in the old days. This is just not motor racing. It's just not cricket, but we'll enjoy what they're showing right now. Instead, Tixier trying to catch up to the back end. Notice since Valenteas has lost the lead, look how close this group is now. It's the top 4 all together, and it's the closest that Seb has been for a while to the front. Goes a bit too deep there into turn 6. There's not enough overlap there for Hisada, and I think that is now just showing that Hisada kind of wants to get a move on here, because I don't think if he stays behind Seb, he's got a chance for the victory here. He's so much smoother through some of these corners, and we know Toga likes a loose car, but it just feels a little bit more calm and smooth out there for the Japanese driver. The Emperor of the Lotus, as you say, Jake. I think he kind of needs it right now, because the gold standard, well, he's not even the bronze standard right now.
No, he's not. He is pretty much somewhere in the copper shrapnel that you find at the bottom of your pocket, but he has caught Sequeiro here, and so that would be a battle on for 5th, but the top 4 are not battling, and this is a draft-dependent circuit here at Road America. If you are not in the draft, you are discarded out by the wayside. And so Sequeiro knows this and knows that he needs help. He overcooks it in, and a bit of yellow and blue helmet syndrome, or in the case of looking at the helmet that Aldris Valenteus is running, a black helmet syndrome. You see that in the mirror and you go, right, I exit stage right, I want none of you.
Who's behind me? Is Valentin? No, just go. I don't want you. I don't want to fight you. I'm not worthy. Just go. That's probably Leo's thought process right now. Valenteus will have to find 3 seconds. And I say that, look what's just turned up at the top of the corner. He passed his lap once again, 5/10 faster than Hisada. There it is, over Trengarade as well, getting past Javier Sanchez again around turn 1. Doesn't overcook it this time, and he's going to win out. But Javier with a good run here, and very interesting. Trengarade struggling with that overtake, and even now going a bit too wide from turn 3. Not enjoying that car right now. The track temp is now 32 Celsius though, Jake. I think the temperatures are starting to heat up. Is this battle heating up? Who's that in the gravel? That's, is that
Turco.
right, Turco? Yeah, it's Turco.
Yeah, Turcotte then will feel like he'll need to go turncoat as he looks around and sees that group now dropping itself away. Nasty in terms of its position, but they will now understand long ways to go still in this, in a car that is playing different to what we saw last season. So, Craig, talk us the differences between Season 1 and Season 2.
Oh, you put me on the spot there. New suspension for these cars. Better new tyres as well, a new updated tyre model as well. And there's also the same type of tyres that you would use in the wet that you would in the dry. But those suspension changes really have been popular for the drivers. They're able to brake a little bit more aggressive, able to just really throw that car in more. They don't have to worry about losing it under the brakes. And we've seen already when we saw in Topi with qualifying, gets to the bumps, hit the brakes, no issue. So they're loving it when the car's on the floor, Jake, not when they're in the air like we saw in the intro when they fly over the flue plats. You don't want to do that in this car right now. It does get a little bit squirrely, but the changes have been so positive and they're loving it. And look at it, we've got 2 splits, and this is a battle for 18th, 17th and 19th, and they're all having the best of fun. As you see side by side, goes to 16 there, and I do think that we're going to see all this a lot more as Ozzy Bahaka goes up to 14th.
Yeah, passes through Laust Olsen, puts him back to +4. With that overtake, these two scrapping together, knowing that Akuliski is gone. Pedro Temeladri, the Argentine, gone. Kevin Verbruggen in 11th place, gone out there in this field. They've built their margins, they've got themselves away, and they know it's still a long old haul before now and the end of this one. 5 laps to go here around this circuit, and immediately back on the aggressive factor. And Laust also looking for a way through. Ozzy, shades of sideways, getting himself in on the brakes, ragging over the exit, looking for a way to get by and struggling to do so. You know, you need almost Valentino Rossi vibe to get through the way that they're leaning into all of these corners. And worth noting, as Sanchez looks to make that move, Valentino Rossi actually said in an interview last week that he's a big proponent of using iRacing.
Well, I think who isn't nowadays in modern day motor racing? It's just such a good thing. I mean, you won't be able to use this on this sort of racing to get your idea on how to do a real world race car, but you get to experience the legends. And that's the best thing about iRacing. You've got all these vintage cars. You get to do what you can't really afford to do nowadays, and that's buying a couple grand, a couple $100,000 to buy an old classic car, drive it around in anger. You can't do that in the real world, as we've seen at Goodwood Festival today. I've counted 3 cars already broken at the festival at speed. Javier Sanchez looking to not break the car, but he's looking to try and break the sound barrier and get past Ove Trengarade. Really enjoying this battle. I'm sure his viewers on his stream loving every moment here, but it must be very stressful because the number of times he's gone forward and backwards with Ove Trengarade today has not been the best of fun, and more sliding there from Trengarade, and somehow he gets away with it.
He does, because you've got a limit of grip out there in those chunky tyres that are out there. So every time you are working through, you've got to say, right, how do I go about and use the tyres to my advantage? Nicola Cocchi, I've noticed, on a couple of corners over the last few laps, Craig, he has been on struggle street. And so he's been understeering through corners, dropping a couple tenths, then spending the straights, gaining it back. He just needs 2 clean laps, and I think he's got a shot at Toppy.
I don't know, because Seb is starting to put the pressure on, and Hissada's not putting that pressure on Tixier. So I do wonder if that's the case right now. And look, gravel getting kicked up there from a couple drivers before at lap of turn 1. Gonna have to just clear that off, and again goes too deep into turn 3, and that's the problem. And everyone behind starts sliding because they're trying to make sure they know what to do. They don't know, because there's no brake lights on these cars. You can't really work out when they're braking, when they're slowing down. You have to go by the contours of the car, the way the tail just slides out, the way the car dips with the suspension when it brakes. And it does look like that Cocky is just over pushing the car, because he knows, get a good run out of turn 3, get that run down the moraine sweep and close up. Unfortunately, again, Jake, more overheating on those tires.
Yeah, that overheating, I think, is going to be one where it will tell late. So if you are just over-committing in, how do you cool a tyre down? Well, you've got to be a little bit more shallow. You've got to be someone who worries a little bit less. You've got to be someone who says, right, I'm going to have to hope that I hold my mark, I hold my line, I don't run into troubles out there through the corners. And here in 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th, or 6th, 7th, 7th, 8th, 9th, yes, and definitely 10th with Gary Ho there, you're starting to wonder, well, what can we do? Look who they're letting onto the train back there as well, Kevin Verbruggen. So there'll be 5 drivers looking for a top 10, and only 4 are going to end up with one.
Yeah, it's not going to go, well, 4, 5 don't go into 1, and now we get to see Gary. Just remembered as well, he's on a VR headset as well. Forget about that. I was wondering why we're not seeing the screen. That's because we can't see the screen. He's on VR, so look what he has to deal with as well. He's having to use the sights and sounds, and watch it turn his head right there to the right. Look for the apex. Now goes straight on. Knows where the gear stick is, because he can't look down at the gear stick right now. He needs to keep full focus, and this is not where he would want to be, because in all due fairness, I've just seen Ozzy Bahaka go around, though. As all due fairness, we're just talking about that. Ozzy having a moment at Canada Corner. Oh, Ozzy, how the brave have fallen.
Yeah, really tough to deal with. Hit the brakes. Car's been snapping around quite a bit as he's gone in for it. So there's something off on the brake balance in my view there, and that's just not played the way he wants to. So look, hits the brakes, and the car just slowly begins snapping around, and no amount of correction was able to bring that back, Craig.
Almost looks a little bit like brake bias issue there. So either maybe a knock of the brake bias button there. Where is Togo? Where is Togo? What has happened to Togo? He's had a moment out there. I want to see where it is. I don't think
he has. I think he's just been dropped.
No, I'm sorry, Jake. This is Togo Hissada. You can't tell me he just dropped. Something's happened there for Togo, but I look back, I can't find it. But he was 5/10 slower last lap. So did he have a moment at the final corner or Canada Corner? Yeah, it was the most moment at the kink, Jake. He lost it at the kink and ran onto the grass. He's going to have to work his way back up.
He will. We're going to catch it right now. So he's shallow in, and look how much he's trying to commit. Oh, he's lucky that DRS marker board there is just ghosted through. Otherwise, there would have been polystyrene everywhere out there on circuit. Very tough. Olsen now in 9th position is holding himself steady here in the middle of this group. They have changed now between Trengarade and Sanchez. They had a little move. They moved back together again, and Sanchez is holding his mark quite nicely, but they are now knowing that they are going to jump on in and say, right, how much more can I set myself up with? How can I get myself to the front of this train? And it's the question, if you're further back, how early do you start getting aggressive and making those moves? Because you know if you make a move and it doesn't work, the train fractures.
Yeah, but you're free to go. When you cross the line, you're going to be 2 to go. If you're not making a move now, what are you doing? You've got to be aggressive now. You've got to commit. You've got to be brave. You have to start looking for those opportunities. Look for Kevin Verbruggen at the back of this to probably make that move onto Gary Ho. And if you're Ove Trengarade, you've got to attack onto Sanchez. A little bit of a slide onto the throttle, though, not going to help. And Javier realizes that with the mini Serpentine, they come to 2 to go. Now it's moving time. It's almost like moving day in the golf. It's moving time on the lap. Javier's going to have to defend this on the inside. Ove's going to have to try to do this around the outside. Master the late breakers belong to Trengarade. I'll tell you what, he's got that done. Cool, calm, and collected. And I don't think Javier's got the run here to attack this. He's going to try with late braking, but I just think that car's unstable there, and that's going to be a behave. And Ove Trengarade's going to get that move.
Not yet, though, because they'll now lean on each other as they run to the moraine sweep and turn 5. Where does the train look to help out there? The answer is, for the moment, John wants in. He wants all those places. Verbruchen's made the pass at turn 1 on Gary Ho, and Trengerade holds the inside, understeers out wide. Oh, brilliant. And then Verbruchen also jumps to gain the next place. So there are 2 passes at turn 5 and up the hill. That's brilliant. Now keep an eye out on the front train, because they're not making many moves out there, Craig, but with a lap and a half, Audrius is 1.6 back. He is willing himself back to this.
I think he's going to run out of time here. I think he's going to run out of laps. I don't think if he's going to get anything, it would be onto the back of Hesada, but then he would need Hesada to make another mistake through the kink for the penultimate time. What can Topi do? We're going to have to look back in terms of the stats, because it has been a while since Valenteus hasn't won in the Lotus 49s. He's won every race this season. He's basically been running for a Triple Crown every weekend this season. And now we've got new names. Well, I say new names this season on the top steps here. So I do wonder. This is now setting their stalls up, though, Jake, because one bad move here, and Cocky is going to get this. Is Topi going to do a lift to try and bait anything out? He doesn't need to do those games. He's happy enough to just say, come on, Nicola, try and push me. And as much as we don't talk about downforce here, as much as we talk about packages, I don't think there's enough there for Nicola to look for a move. He's going to have to do this down the Moraine sweep, but they're now starting to gap everybody else. It feels like it's good between these two for the final 2 minutes of the race.
There's battles everywhere. Trengerade as well, side by side, is going to focus on this one with Xavier Sanchez, who is still stuck on the inside line. Quarter of a second between your leaders as the move made. Then is going to be Sanchez who holds the inside line. Let's go back though to Cocky. 2/10, 1/10 of a second is the mark at the front. So outside line, it's going to be the search for Bruhen now, trying to get himself into play side by side for the race lead. Doesn't quite manifest between Courteniemi and Cocky, and we need to go back to the leaders, because now it's 1, 2, 3 all over the top of each other at the moment. They are swarming in this second group, with Verbruchen trying to go around the outside, still trying to get himself past both of them, and still not quite getting what he needs. Now they're over to the kettle bottoms here, the hurry downs for your leaders. Verbruchen can't get by the 7, the 6 is going to not get exactly what's needed. Top right of your screen, Courteniemi still with the hold for the moment at 3/10, but Cocky could find an almighty lunge down to the inside. He's bided his time right to this moment. Great run. Then coming out at the right, in the top right of your screen, this kink is everything. And how much of a drive is there going to be off the exit? Better from Courteniemi. He opens up the gap, and now Nicola Cocky needs to find 3 magical corners. It's Topi holding everybody back at the moment. He's not let anybody have yet a sniff down to the inside. Still 2/10 of a second. There's still a chance through Bill Mitchell Bend. Nicola Cocky is trying to leave this one as late as possible. Alexa Gaines making the move at turn 14. Now it's going to have to be a drag race up the hill. Nicola, do you have enough? Topi Courteniemi, we'll see. It's a short shoot to the line. He's going to get everyone back. 4 times a bridesmaid. Finally, his wedding honours are here at Elkhart Lake.
Got there as well, and in the backpack as well, Javier Sanchez will hold off for Verbruchen. He pushed too hard to the final corner, and it checked everybody up. Great final 2 laps there for Verbruchen. Great battle there by Javier Sanchez to hold on to the P7. We've got more battles as well. Ozzy Pahaka needs to defend against Lopez, but I don't think they're both going to do this. Onto the grass go both of them. Ozzy's going to defend, and it's going to be too late there as he holds off Lopez at the line. And more as well, as we've got more battles going on. They're all sliding. That is Wade Sheedy holding off Bill Tyler and Matthew Maudsley to get that 20th, 21st, and 22nd.
Great running there towards the line at the end, and they will wait for Thomas Tuber, who will be the last car over the stripe before we go through. But that is a big day with Valenteus in 5th place only. Topi Courteniemi will finally get a chance to go through and say, this is what I am all about. A winning margin after 34 minutes and 30 seconds of just 900ths over the line. Nicola Cocky just left it slightly too late in today's running. Seb Tixier finishes 3rd with Toga Hesada 4th, And the words out of the mouth of Aldris Valenteus, I'm a dummy. I can't believe I've just done that. 5th only for him today. Leo Sequeiro would get a very isolated 6th ahead of Xavier Sanchez and Kevin Verbruchen, with Ove Trengerade in 9th. John Olsen rounding out your top 10.
Then we get Gary Ho, who finishes in 11th. Akuliski will be in 12th. Pedro Temeladri, will be in 13th. Laus Dolson finishes in 14th, and great drive there by Ozzy Pahaka to finish in 15th. Marco Antonio Lopez will be in 16th, then it's Josephine Becker, 17th. Benjamin Zoko, the hardest charger today, up 8 places from the back to 18th. Robert Plumley will be in 19th, and Wade Sheedy, we saw at the end there, got that 20th.
27 cars would be able to finish this race, and they would all be on the lead lap. Bill Tyler ahead of Matthew Maudsley, with Cam Porter just behind Maudsley. You then got Ryan Turcott, who we saw with the spin, Carl Ridley and Fidel Ruiz, 25th and 26th. Thomas Tuba there, 27th. Steve Goshen would be 4 laps down at the end of running, and Glenn Becker would be an early retiree right on the early stages of this race. We are going to get this chance, though, to chat with some of our drivers. First and foremost, let's bring in the driver who's 2nd overall in Nicola Cocchi. Nicola, ultimately 900ths the difference at the line. It looked like you needed an extra lap there.
Yeah, hi guys. I don't know if with an extra lap I could be able to actually overtake him. It was so fast. I could have a couple of more chances maybe, but I really needed the tiny mistakes from him, and of course it didn't happen. Today was pretty incredible that we got a mistake from Audrey, so I think we can settle for that.
Well, you can settle for 2nd. It's been a really tough start to the championship. The level has gone up another notch, especially with all of the changes that have come to the car. How much adapting have you had to do from last season to this one to get yourself up to a level where you can start challenging for podiums and wins?
Well, it's always something that you have to adapt. I think I'm always adapting for the car, for the new track, for the new setup, for the new differential. So you keep trying to understand what the car wants you to do to be able to go faster, and of course keep the tire as cool as possible. And yeah, you always it's a very nice mental game, if you ask me, because you still need, and you always need to think about what you are going to do, what is better, what the car wants you to drive. And yeah, it's very. I think I like motorsport mostly for the mental game, for the puzzle that you have always to solve, basically.
And able to solve that, you were almost in a position where that was the reality for you. But now, turn your mind to a circuit completely different then for round 6 of the championship, Pocono. How does that create a big difference from what you've done so far to now where you're going next?
Can you give me a hint here? Pocono is the oval?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the same for me. All ovals are the same, and I am very not able to drive the oval. And I will try, of course, but I'm not expecting anything because I have almost no experience on that kind of race. So I'm a road track guy. I'm not an oval. Sorry.
Well, it will be a case of try and hold on for the tricky triangle with 3 corners. All ovals are the same. To Nicola Cocchi, who's here and joins us with a 2nd place finish overall. Craig King has walked down the virtual paddock. He's with your winner, Topi Kortaniemi.
Topi Kortaniemi, 5th time lucky. Had a little bit of luck there with Valenteus. I wonder, was that little bit of gamesmanship? I think you broke a bit too early and you baited Valenteus too hard into that corner.
No, I just brake in the right time. I just barely hold my line, but at the moment I hit the brakes and so Valenteus straight ahead. I knew he was too into the corner. He wasn't going to make it. We had a great race, and Nick was really fast this week.
Yeah, I mean, this was always going to be a draft track, and you were out there as well, having to battle with Valentea. There were a lot of times you two were side by side. I know this is the tough track for overtaking, but were you surprised you were able to go side by side that long around here in these cars? Because they're a little bit different to any other car.
Yeah, I wasn't planning to try the overtakes. I was planning to just play along with Adrius and make a gap to Nick and the others and then battle on the last laps. But I was catching him up and he was defending, so why not battle it out and see if I can take the track position and then go for the win.
And we got to talk about that last lap. You said Nicola as well was really fast, and I think we were thinking there maybe one more lap he may have had you. I don't know about you, but was there any thought process in your head to try and play some games? Because this is the draft track. Some people, we've seen it with Valenteas before, likes to just lift on a straight to take the slipstream. Were you just thinking just drive harder? Were you thinking maybe play a few games out there today?
Yeah, I was thinking how Adrius defended today, and I was planning to do the same if Nick got close. And just not to leave the door open in the surprising places like the last turn. I know Adrius could do it with no dirty tricks and dive into the inside on the last lap, so I wasn't going to let that happen with Nick. Same in Canada corner. I was looking at my mirror if he was close enough.
Well, win number 29 in the Lotus 49s for you. Next week, we go to Pocono. Your thoughts on the Oval Week?
I have no idea what to do on ovals, but it's going to be fun.
It's Pocono. It's always going to be fun. Toby, congratulations on the victory today. We look forward to seeing you next week at Pocono.
Thanks, Greg.
Toby Cotonemi there, Jake, who finishes in the lead and the victor. And I think we've got some more drivers you're next to. I think someone that actually got a podium today. He's alongside Sebastian Tixier.
Well, Seb, you got a podium, that's the plus, but ultimately it seemed like a day of you got to the dance of the main group, but there wasn't really any legs to do anything more than that, because the pace level up there at the top today was simply too much for most to hold on to.
You're saying I'm too slow. Thank you. Well, I don't agree with you, because I think most of the race before I could have stayed with the pack if I didn't make mistakes. If you look at the previous broadcast, I was just P4, P5, and I just did stupid mistake to lose the front pack. So for sure, I'm not at the level of Drios and Topi. Because I think if they wouldn't fight Nico and I and Togo, we will just battle for the rest. But I think I was at the level of Nico and Togo, and it's just that I've been making so many mistakes the race before, and I just wanted the podium, and I was not trying anything. I was lifting behind Nico to just brake, stay behind, not overheat my tire and take P3. I'm very happy with that.
Well, you certainly will take P3, and it is very good for you, especially when you consider that over the course of this season for you, Seb, this is your first podium that you've been able to pick up. So talk us through the level of what everyone's going about with. Of course, you've got some drivers who have been here before, they know all about it, but all of these changes have come into play. Have they suited you in terms of what you've been looking at driving style, or are you finding it a little tough to maybe adapt and this is a turning point for you?
I think the less grip a car has, the better I do relatively to other people. For example, in V8, I do quite well. I mean, I'm not at the top level like Scops, but if you go worldwide and it's a car with not a lot of weight and a lot of power and those kind of cars. So actually, I think in this car, I feel more comfortable. It's just that I practice way less than other people. I do a bit of Sunday and that's it. And all the other guys, they have 2-3 races during the week that I can't do because for me it's the middle of the night or too early. So I'm lacking of practice, but and also I was making too much mistakes. So this race I was really concentrating, and I hope from now on, I can start to keep with Nico, Togo. I don't say Topi and Odrios because for me they are a notch above, and it's just that they're fighting each time at the beginning. Thank you guys, so we can keep up. And then very rare time Odrios or Topi making mistakes. It's really rare. Those guys are way too. I mean, that's why they are 8K and I'm not even 5 yet anymore.
Well, let's talk Tricky Triangle then in 7 days' time. Pocono Raceway, is that one for you where you feel like that because it's going to be such a jumbled up order, it's going to be something really difficult? Or are you looking at this as an opportunity, knowing that as far as ovals go, it's one of the quicker ovals that you can find in the world of iRacing?
So everybody knows in community that I would like to remove the oval from the championships because for me it's not historically correct. But for me, there's only 2 ovals that I like on the Lotus, Indianapolis for historical region because they are similar cars, and actually Old Pocono, which I think is very fun to drive on those cars. And even that's what the rare oval when I enjoy going even on trucks, NASCAR, stuff like that. The few times I'm too bored and I'm doing NASCAR, but yeah, I really like this track. I'm waiting for my oval specialist Bill Tyler to do a setup for me, for us, and then I'll see. And that's a track I really love, especially the fast kink. Very fun track on this car. So with less grip, I think it will be even more fun.
Bill, give him a rocket ship. He'll go to the moon. Sebastian Tixier there, joining us with a 3rd place finish on the board. And very quickly, Craig King is down with Hasuna Kote himself, the Emperor of the Lotus, Togo Hisada.
Yeah, Togo, it didn't look the best of days for you today. You managed to make up 3 spots, but looked very tough to get anywhere forward today. That front pack, tough for overtaking.
Yeah, Chapman, the front of the guys is really fast, a little bit faster than me on the low pace. So, yeah, trying to, hard as I can, try to follow the save under the Nicolas. Try to follow as much as I can, but it's a bit tough to follow on the difficult race for me today.
We saw you go wide, pushing too hard at the kink. Valenteus almost caught you. Were you worried?
Yeah, I'm worried about the understeer on the very last 5 or 6 laps because I'm struggling with rear snaps just before the turn in. Like I just spun on the turn 1. That's kind of the span. I'm really struggle with that in midweek. So I ended up with slightly lower ride height, which means a little bit more stable on the braking, but also provides a little bit understeer on the turn in on the later part of the race because the fuel goes off and the front ride height is up, and then just lose the out of the sweet spot range of the ride height. So I'm still start searching with new car, new setups. And today's just worry about myself, worry about car balance on the last few laps.
And very quickly, next week we're oval racing. Pocono, you have magic at ovals. What are you looking forward for next week?
I'm not sure because the total slipstream effect is changed after the update, so a little bit different. So and this is the first time after the air update, slipstream update. So I don't know. It's always pack racing or Pocono, but maybe next week is a little bit different race. So yeah, I don't know, but I'm looking forward to it.
Fingers crossed for you. We look forward to seeing you next week, Togo. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend and get some sleep.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Togo Hisada finishing the race there in 4th, Jake. That, I think, is going to do it. I'm going to join you back in the booth.
Yeah, and we're going to be with more racing action here in the Grand Prix Legends in just 7 days' time at the halfway point of the season. It's the oval round, the legacy version of Pocono, the tricky triangle, everyone's favourite 3-turn, 5-turn oval that is out there to battle with. April 25th. You can jump in and join us for that at 1:30 UTC or 9:30 AM Eastern Time here as part of a Genesis Extreme production. A massive thanks to the crew who have brought this one over to you here today, from Daniel Costello in the director's chair, Dougie Beard's cameras, Craig King alongside me. My name is Jake Sperry. There is much more amazing action to come along on the horizon, because IMSA Vintage later on today is heading to the national layout of Donington Park. The Classic Lotuses will be heading to Road Atlanta for their challenge on Monday night or Tuesday morning, wherever you find yourself in the world. We'll be at Road America for the Porsche's Owners Club. And for the final round in the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup North America on the Porsche North America YouTube, you can go over and catch all of the action from Road Atlanta to see who will book their place in the top 3 and qualify themselves into the regional series on the road to the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup. But it is a day where dominance is broken at long last. 4 rounds of the same old, and pressure telling early cracks Aldrius Valenteus. The gold standard suddenly looks a little bit scruffy by comparison, and holding out Topi Courtaniemi to the top for the first time this season. 5 straight podiums and a championship dead level almost, as we knock on the door and say, let's go to pretty Pocono.
This is iRacing.